Greetings. My name is Soraya Cuesta, and I am the Director of International Students at Miami-Dade College North Campus. Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated in the month of October, and it is an honor and a privilege to have the Honorable Jonathan Chait, Consul General of Mexico in Miami, introducing the topic of the influence of Spain on the culture of Mexico as part of this year's celebration. His presentation will be followed by a discussion from Professors Medina and Palombo on All Souls Day in Mexico. I do not want to conclude this introduction without thanking Consul General Chait for always taking time out of his busy schedule to enrich the lives of our students, faculty, and staff at Miami-Dade College North Campus. Thank you, Consul General.
It is a pleasure for me to address the students and teachers of Miami-Dade College North Campus as part of Hispanic Heritage Month that goes from September 15 to October 15. During this month, we celebrate in the United States the contributions and cultures of American citizens whose predecessors came from Spain, Latin American, or Caribbean countries. I'm proud to note that this is part of your annual activities and that Mexico is part of the celebrations. Hispanic Heritage Month is very emblematic since several Latin American countries commemorate their independence in September, such as Mexico, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Chile, and others. Through the years, the Consul General of Mexico in Miami has partnered with Miami-Dade College's North Campus in various cultural and artistic activities, enriching the cultural lives of students and teachers by promoting Mexico through exhibitions, presentation of folkloric dance, concerts, conferences, and so on. Today, in particular, in the framework of this celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, I would like to refer the presence of Spain in the culture of Mexico as an introduction to the presentation of the Day of the Dead by Professors Myra Medina and Leon Palombo. The Spanish influence in Mexico has been relevant in different areas such as religion, architecture, gastronomy, music, language, mestizaje, and traditions. Today, I will give a general introduction of these aspects. As you may know, the Spaniards arrived in Mexico Tenochtitlan on August 13, 1521, led by Hernán Cortés. Upon arrival, the indigenous civilizations in Mexico were rich in customs and culture. The Aztecs were highly developed with a mathematical system, a capital city with a complex urban system, Tenochtitlan, and an architecture that reflected the magnificence of the empire. Or before, for example, the pyramids of the sun and the moon in Teotihuacan, one of the main archaeological sites in the country. The Spanish were impressed by the structure of Tenochtitlan and the natural beauties of the New World. The conquest of Mexico imposed a process of transformation in the social, political, and cultural structures already established by the indigenous population that ended up in a process of integration of both civilizations, not without strong consequences on the original inhabitants of Mexico. The native population in Mexico gradually adopted various cultural features from the Iberian Peninsula, and today I will refer to some of them. First of all, I would like to refer to the adoption of religions as one of the main components of the conquest. With the arrival of the Spaniards, various religious orders came to New Spain from 1524, such as the Franciscans, the Augustinians, and the Dominicans, in order to transmit the Catholic religion among the indigenous population. This religion became a key element for establishment of the monarchy, a new social system, and the transmission of the Western culture. The friars were given the task of eradicating polytheism and pre-Hispanic religious practices. However, the indigenous people preserved some beliefs and rituals that will merge with the Christian traditions. Also, the friars established schools where they taught the religious principle of Christian faith, as well as art and craft. This religion had a strong influence on art with the creation of altarpieces and paintings for religious themes. Architecture was also influenced with the construction of churches, convents, and religious buildings designed for the purpose of evangelization. Other examples of the influence of Spaniards in architecture is the states of Mexico, where the magnificence of the Baroque is represented by the Temple of San Francisco Javier in the city of Tepoztlan, with beautiful altarpieces, where the Museum of Israelity is located. Another outstanding contribution to Mexican architecture were made with the construction of aqueducts which provided water to various cities. Among them, the aqueduct of Father Tremelque, considered the most important hydraulic work of Viceroyalty. It was built between what is now the states of Hidalgo and Mexico and provided water to the towns of Zempoala and Otumba. Today was also several colonial cities in Mexico that are important touristic attractions and were constructed based on the urban model of peninsulas such as San Miguel de Allende in Guanajuato, Mérida in Yucatan, Morelia, Michoacán, Guanajuato, among others. For example, the city of Morelia, founded in 1541, has extraordinary buildings such as the 17th century cathedral, which is identified by its 70-meter high towers, the San Francisco Convent, the Conservatory of Roses, and the Sanctuary of Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. Along with the architecture, there is also Spanish influence in the management of the mud and the Talavera Poblana, adaptation of the Talavera de la Reina brought to Mexico around 1550, among others. Many Mexican craft has Baroque styles, which is characterized by the use of ornaments with curved lines. This is a result of the use of the Spanish techniques such as the churrigueresco and plateresco from the colonial period. Mexican textiles were also adapted since our native people originally created their clothing from natural fibers such as quistelo and wild palm. Cotton and wool began to be produced in New Spain after the arrival of the Spaniards, which through time it gained presence in the dresses that represent the states of Mexico like Veracruz, Yucatan, and many others. During and after the conquest, a caste system was imposed with the stratification of the inhabitants of the New Spain. It was integrated into a hierarchical pyramid with the Spanish population on the top. However, many other groups composed the society of the New Spain, such as the indigenous, African population who were brought to Mexico as slaves under horrible circumstances, as well as the criollos, Europeans born in the New Spain. This caste system, however, created a process of mestizaje, enriching cultural and artistic expression, and is part of Mexico's diversity nowadays. As Clay Hans states, through the 20th century, the mestizaje became a leitmotif for many artists, stemming from muralists to writers alike. Artists used the image of mestizo to capture the essence of the revolution, as well depicting the reality of the war in Mexico. Muralist Diego Rivera and novelist Mariano Azuela are two examples of how artists were able to use this image in their works, portraying the mestizaje, fighting the government in attempts to yield power from the upper class and give it back to the common people of Mexico. In Rivera's mural The Liberación of the Peón and the Azuela's novel The Underdogs, both artists portray the mestizaje as a heroic figure fighting for the common man against the oppression and abuses of the Mexican government and the bourgeois. Nowadays, as a product of mestizaje, Mexico has become a mosaic of ethnic diversity, with population of European origin, indigenous group, and Afro-descendant population that live in the southern states of Mexico, such as Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Veracruz, creating new forms of cultural and artistic richness. Also today, the population of mestizo in Mexico is as high as 93%, creating this social diversity that characterizes our nation. Mexican cuisine was also influenced with the ingredients of the peninsula such as rice, sugar, oil, wheat, limes, oranges, as well as sausages, creating a fusion with local ingredients such as corn, chile, beans, among others. Likewise, Mexico contributed to Europe and the world: cocoa, corn, chile, tomato, avocado, and vanilla. The fusion of the gastronomy of two cultures were symbolized in the mythical banquet that Hernán Cortés had in Tenochtitlan, where the Spaniards ate pork with tortillas, the last one of the main components of Aztec cuisine. The culinary exchanges was strengthened, resulting in dishes with mixed ingredients such as tamales, mole, and atole. Even in convents, cooking was developed, creating dishes such as chiles en nogada, which included Spanish ingredients like walnuts or churros con chocolate. Nowadays, Mexican cuisine, which has received influences also from other regions such as Asia and the Middle East, has been recognized internationally and declared intangible heritage humanity by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in 2010. The cultivation of the vine was also brought by the Spaniards from Europe to Mexico in 1524, creating the first crops in Tehuacan and Michoacán. Nowadays, Mexico has some of the best wines in Latin America, with plantations in the state of Coahuila, Querétaro, Aguascalientes, Zacatecas, Baja California, and Durango. We can also highlight some of the contribution of the field of music. Various Spanish string instruments were adapted, such as wood flutes, barrock guitars, trumpets, harps, the organs and violins, among others, which influenced the creation of new local instruments such as the vihuela, la jarana huasteca, and the guitar from the indigenous village of Chamula. Among the indigenous population, we can even find musical pieces with a marked Baroque influence. Among these new songs and jarabes, we can find the music that will give spirit to a new nation. Language is one of the main influences of Spain and was used as a main tool for colonization. The language was used for evangelization, but also it allowed the native population of Mexico access to European knowledge through the oral tradition and the literature that came from Spain. The Spanish language merged with the local indigenous languages, creating a Spanish particular to our country. Nowadays, Spanish is spoken worldwide by 577 million people, 7.6% of the world's population. Mexico, being the country with the highest number of Spanish speakers, 122 million speakers. It should be emphasized that 1 in 4 Spanish speakers is Mexican. Likewise, in Mexico today, 68 original languages and 364 languages variant are still preserved. The Spaniards also brought the invention of the printing press to New Spain, which allowed for the development of literature, mainly poetry and theater, as well as the press. Also, in the middle of the 16th century, some of the first universities in Mexico were opened, such as the Royal and Pontifical University of Mexico, which was the first university in the continent and where arts, law, and medicine were studied. Several traditions were also brought from Spain, for example, the celebration of the Holy Week, as well as the Dia de los Reyes and Christmas tradition. For example, the famous Mexican piñata, which was originally built as a 7-pointed star that represented the 7 sins that might be eradicated through faith, came from Spain. In addition to these elements, I would like to underline the syncretism that took place in the Day of the Dead tradition, which are currently celebrated on the 1st and 2nd of November. This popular celebration in Mexico arose as a result of mixture between rituals of Mexican Aztec people and Christian tradition brought by Spanish colonizers. The Aztecs held an annual festival in honor of the goddess of death, and later this celebration merged with Christian traditions. Due to the importance of these festivities nowadays, UNESCO declared them intangible cultural heritage of humanity. During the presentation, I tried to highlight some of the cultural influences that Spain brought to Mexico, merging the cultural richness that existed already through the region. However, as any process of conquest and colonization, there were also wars, the extradition of resources and subjugation, and the destruction of several pieces of art and architecture from the indigenous population. In 2021, we will commemorate the 500 years since the arrival of Hernán Cortés to Mexico and 700 years since the founding of the city of Tenochtitlan. This will be a good opportunity to deepen the discussion regarding the impact of this colonization in Mexico in different areas. Finally, I would like to thank the Miami-Dade College North Campus for its invitation to participate in the Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations, and I hope that we can continue to collaborate in cultural matters with the Consul General of Mexico in Miami. Thank you so much.
Greetings, everyone. I'd like to thank the Consul General of Mexico, Mr. Jonathan Chait Auerbach, for his presentation on how Spain has influenced the Mexican culture. One of these influences is the celebration of the Day of the Dead. Following All Saints' Day, All Souls' Day is a worldwide Christian observance on the 2nd of November, in which the faithful departed are remembered. The custom is that people attend church and pray for those who have passed on, in addition to going to the cemetery and laying flowers on their tombs. Interestingly enough, this is a celebration that wasn't completely brought by the Spaniards to Mexico because some Mexican pre-Hispanic groups engaged in a similar commemoration. As practiced by the indigenous communities of Mexico, El Día de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, commemorates the transitory return to earth of deceased relatives and loved ones. The roots of the Day of the Dead celebrated in contemporary Mexico and among those of Mexican heritage around the world go back some 3,000 years to the rituals honoring the dead in pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. The Aztecs and other Nahua people living in what is now central Mexico held a cyclical view of the universe and saw death as an integral, ever-present part of life. Originally, the festival that developed into the modern Day of the Dead fell on the 9th month of the Aztec calendar. about the beginning of August, and was celebrated for an entire month. The festivities were dedicated to the goddess known as the Lady of the Dead, corresponding to the modern La Calavera Catrina. Today, the festivities take place each year at the end of October to the beginning of November. This period also marks the completion of the annual cycle of cultivation of maize, the country's predominant food crop. Great care is taken with all aspects of the preparations, for it is believed that the dead are capable of bringing prosperity, for example, an abundant maize harvest, or misfortune, such as illness, accidents, financial difficulties, and so on, upon their families depending on how satisfactorily the rituals are executed. The dead are divided into several categories according to cause of death, age, sex, and in some cases profession. This encounter between the living and the dead affirms the role of the individual within society and contributes to reinforcing the political and social status of Mexico's indigenous communities. The Day of the Dead celebration holds great significance in the life of Mexico's indigenous groups. The fusion of pre-Hispanic religious rites and Catholic feasts brings together two universes, one marked by the indigenous belief systems, the other by worldviews introduced by the Europeans in the 16th century. On the Day of the Dead holiday, Mexican families welcome back the souls of their deceased relatives for a brief reunion that includes food, drink, and celebration. A blend of Mesoamerican ritual, European religion, and Spanish culture, the holiday is celebrated each year from October 31st to November 2nd. While October 31st is Halloween in the United States, November 1st is El Día de los Inocentes, or the Day of the Children, and All Saints' Day. November 2nd is All Souls' Day, or the Day of the Dead. According to tradition, the gates of heaven are opened at midnight on October 31st, and the spirits of children can rejoin their families for 24 hours. The spirits of adults can do the same on November 2nd. With the arrival of the Spaniards and Catholicism, All Souls and All Saints' Day practices were incorporated into the pre-Hispanic beliefs and customs, and the holiday came to be celebrated as we know it today. Over the millennia, the holiday has changed in more ways than anyone living now can possibly know. The 16th century arrival of Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés to Mexico established the imposition of Catholicism on indigenous customs. The Catholic Church recognizes these days, which is why modern Dia de los Muertos observances have indigenous roots with the European influences. Upon dying, a person was believed to travel to Chikunamictlan, the land of the dead. Only after getting through 9 challenging levels, a journey of several years, could the person's soul finally reach Mictlan, the final resting place. In our rituals honoring the dead, traditionally held in August, family members provided food, water, and tools to aid the deceased in this difficult journey. In pre-Hispanic times, the dead were buried close to family homes, often in a tomb underneath the central patio of the house. And there was great emphasis on maintaining ties with deceased ancestors who were believed to continue to exist on a different plane. In medieval Spain, people would bring wine and pan de animas, or spirit bread, to the graves of their loved ones on All Souls' Day. They would also cover graves with flowers and light candles to illuminate the dead soul's way back to their homes on earth. In the 16th century, Spanish conquistadores brought such traditions with them to the New World, along with a darker view of death influenced by the devastation of the bubonic plague. On the Day of the Dead, it is believed that the border between the spirit world and the real world dissolve. The spirits are greeted with offerings of special foods and things that they enjoyed when they were alive. These are laid out on an altar in the family home. It is believed that the spirits consume the essence and the aroma of the foods that are offered. When the spirits depart, the living eat the food and share it with their family, friends, and neighbors. And now, Professor Palombo will continue to speak with you about the traditions of this great celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Medina. And now I'm going to talk to you about traditions and customs during the Day of the Dead. It is customary for Mexicans to visit their relatives' grave sites on the Day of the Dead. Many Mexican communities still hold gravesite vigils starting on the night on November 1st and then throughout the day on November 2nd. In many cases, there are processions through the city which lead into cemeteries. On this day, cemeteries are filled with flowers and candles in remembrance of the departed. Some families who decide not to engage in the vigils still visit the cemeteries to clean their loved ones' gravesites. These visits are quite festive social gatherings. Emblematic altars are constructed at home or at the cemetery in honor of the departed. These altars contain a variety of ofrendas or offerings which are supposed to encourage loved ones to return home and make a special visit to their families. The ofrendas, or offerings, vary. In some cases, family members place in the altars items that their loved ones liked. Some examples include, but are not limited to, food, sweets, alcohol, cigarettes, clothes, etc. If the deceased is a child, many times families leave their favorite toys as an altar offering or ofrenda. Altars also contain copal, or incense believed to draw the spirits. Part of the celebration is remembering the departed friends and loved ones. This is the reason that families and friends gather to share anecdotes and memories about the deceased. Sometimes these recounts have a funny tone since it is believed that the departed want to be remembered cheerfully and not in a somber tone. The sharing of stories forms part of a long Mexican oral tradition. The yellow marigold, or as the Mexicans call it, the cempasúchil flower, flor de muerto, has become a symbol of the dead. The home altars and gravesites are filled with this flower, among many others. The tradition says that this flower helps guide loved ones' souls back to the world of the living. This particular flower breed is only seen during the rainy season, which precedes the Day of the Dead, and has become a major part of the festivities associated with the holiday. The creation or purchasing of sugar skulls by Mexican families is also a symbol of this holiday. In addition to the flower of the dead, these sugar skulls have become an emblematic part of the festivity. Many times the name of the deceased is engraved with icing on their foreheads. You can see these sugar skulls as an ofrenda or offering placed in the home or cemetery altars. Many historians believe that there is a pre-Hispanic connection or significance in the original water and sugar-based concoction with the Spanish custom of molding. Calacas. These are colorful dress skeleton figurines that are seen throughout the celebration and paraded during the processions. Oftentimes, they are dressed in regal and traditional Mexican outfits, such as the mariachi attire. Las Catrinas, or stylish skeletal ladies, contribute to a sense of elegance and aristocracy to the celebration. The word Catrina comes from Catrin, which denotes an aristocratic or distinguished, well-dressed gentleman, usually accompanied by his partner, dressed in elegant attire to complement him. These Catrina skeletal characters have a long history in Mexico's celebration of the Day of the Dead. They are symbolic of the disparities between social classes and are representative of the idea or ideal that we are all socially created equally. In Mexico City, it is a tradition to hold parades where many people dress up as Catrinas and paint their faces with Catrina-type skulls and dress in elegant outfits. Alebrijes. These are brightly colored Mexican folk art sculptures made of paper, or as the Spanish call it, cartoneria, strips of paper and glue put together in a carcass or carved wood that represent fantastical or mythical-like creatures. The first of these types originated in Mexico City in 1936 by the artist Pedro Linares, whose specialty was making piñatas, carnival masks, and other paper craft or papier-mâché folk art. Today, these mystical creatures form part of parades in celebration of the Day of the Dead, or sold throughout the year in mercados, or folk art stores. Sometimes they take the shape of animals, like large lizards or insects. For the Mexicans, these are considered dreamlike creatures that form part of the land of the dead. Pandemuerto, or bread of the dead. It is a tradition for Mexicans to consume what they call the pan de muerto, or sweet bread of the dead, with a cup of hot cocoa. This orange-flavored sweet bread, with different festive decorations like bones and a sugar coating atop, is usually in the form of a circle. This shape is symbolic in many religions of the Western world since it represents the beginning and end of life. Other traditional Day of the Dead foods include mole, a dark pudding-like sauce or marinade prepared throughout different regions in Mexico, tamales, a traditional Mexican dish made with a corn-based dough filled with a variety of meats, beans, and cheeses, pozole, a tomato-based soup made with balls of corn, onion, garlic, and other ingredients. And here are some movies that have been inspired by the Day of the Dead: Macario, The Book of Life, Spectre, and Coco. And here's a clip from the movie Coco.
Every year, grandkids, cousins, pretty much everyone gets together. Even great-grandma Coco. And the winner is... Luchadora Coco! I tell her pretty much everything. I used to run like this, but now I run like this, which is way faster.
Life sounds like...
Miguel, eat your food. Here, have some more.
No, gracias. I mean, see?
That's what I thought you said. Dia de los Muertos has begun. It's the one night of the year our ancestors can come visit us.
I thought it might have been one of those made-up things. I was just... But
Tonight is about family.
I am not like the rest of my family. There's something that makes me different. Great-great-grandfather, I want to be a musician, just like you.
All right, who's in there?
I'm sorry.
Welcome to the land of your ancestors.
Miguel?
We're your family. You're skeletons.
You're alive!
You gotta get home before sunrise, or you'll be stuck here forever.
Ugh.
Security!
Hurry, come on!
It's showtime!
You, my boy, are meant to be a musician.
I must follow my heart.
I am trying to save your life.
Nice kitty.
Miguel, something's mattered more than music.
Sorry. We may have our differences, but nothing's more important than family. I'm proud we're family!
Go away, you! Go!
It's just Dante.
Never name a street dog. They'll follow you forever. Now, go get my shoe.
And now Professor Medina will leave you with some final words.
Thank you, Professor Palombo. I'd like to conclude by saying that the Day of the Dead is not a gloomy or morbid occasion. Rather, it is a festive and colorful holiday celebrating the lives of those who have passed on. It is worthy to note that this celebration has been included in the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. I'd like to thank everyone who has participated in putting this presentation together, and I hope that you enjoy the presentation as well. Thank you.